Hey guys, Tim here with EverVenture Custom, and today we're here with a 2008 Chevy Suburban. You can see we've already gutted out most of the inside, and we've already put some ribs and stuff up there in the top. But today what we're going to do is we're going to start installing this fan, and we're going to do a little how-to video and show you guys how to do this. This here is a fantastic fan. We bought it on Amazon. It's about 250 bucks. It's a 14 by 14 opening, which actually fits perfect in a Suburban, because between the ribs here is about 14¼ inches. So this fan actually fits perfectly with these Suburbans in case that's what you're doing. The tools we're going to use for this today will be a drill with drill bit, the butyl sealing tape, which kind of seals it from water getting in and all that, tape measure and Sharpie, and then we've got, for the cutting of the hole, we're going to use a jigsaw with a metal cutting blade on here. And we also got some blue tape, just so we don't scratch the paint or anything. So I'm gonna hop in here and start measuring it out, and I'll show you guys what to do. Again, this is cutting a hole in the roof, so if you don't feel comfortable doing this, hire a professional. But if you just want to see a how-to video on how to do it, then follow up with us and we'll show you how to do it. Okay, so that's my center line. You can see I wrote a line there with a C on it. That's my center line, and from that center line I'm going 7 1/8 from both sides. And since my fan is 14 inches, that gives me 7 1/8 and 7 1/8 gives me 14¼ That gives you a little bit of room so the fan's not shoving into that hole. It's got a little bit of room to breathe on both sides. You always want to double check your measurements before drilling anything, so just carefully go through it, make sure you got all the correct marks, and then you should be good. So with the metal drill bit, you're just gonna drill right through the truck, right at the marks you just made at 14¼ on all 4 sides, and that will give you an indication of where they are when you get to the top of the roof. Always wear safety glasses so no shards get in your eye, and you should be good. So now on top of the roof, you can see right where you drilled your holes. That's an indication of where all your marks are, and you're going to take this blue tape, and you're basically going to use the blue tape as your guide for where you're going to cut, but it's also doing 2 things. It's going to protect the paint job from the jigsaw, and it's also giving you basically your straight line from where to cut. So the reason you want to do this too is because the jigsaw, as you're cutting through the metal, those metal shards are going to get underneath the base of the jigsaw, and it will scratch the paint. So this is a metal cutting blade on this jigsaw, and it easily goes through the metal, no problem. I'm just connecting all the dots here that I already drilled. And you just want to take your time, let the jigsaw do the cutting. No need to push it real hard or anything. And that's it. It'll make a real nice cut for you. So with a file, you just want to kind of file off the shards, make it a little smoother, just so it's a nice clean fit when you're sticking the fan on there and there's nothing sticking up. Before you put the butyl tape on, you just want to make sure you get a nice dry fit. Just make sure that everything fits in there properly before you start doing the butyl tape. So after you've cleaned the surface with some soap and water, make sure there's no debris on there, you're going to start adding this butyl tape to it. Now, butyl tape is specially designed just for installs of things on roofs like fans, air conditioning units, stuff like that. It's a very sticky tape. And what I'm doing is I'm basically layering it up because you have those ridges right there, and you want to layer it up so it's level all the way across with those ridges. And you can see here too that I'm trying not to touch it with my fingers. I'm using that white stuff that it comes with. I'm using that to basically push it down because you don't want the oil from your fingers getting all over the tape and making it less sticky. So just take your time with this, make it very, just try to be precise with it. No gaps or anything, and you should be okay. It's just a long process, and you just want to make sure you're making it waterproof, basically. So now when you're setting the fan, line it up perfectly so it's all the way centered everywhere before you ever push it down on that tape. Because once it touches that butyl tape, it's stuck. So go ahead and push it down with your fingers like this, get it all in place, and you should be good. So this is an 1.25" tapper, and that's a rubber washer. We use that because the rubber washer keeps the water from getting between the screw and the hole through the fan there. Go ahead and self-tap them and just drill them right through the metal there, the sheet metal. And you got to be careful because on the ridges, sometimes it won't line up perfectly, so you can't go straight up and down. There are times I've had to use a little drill bit and just kind of like pre-drill my hole so it's not sliding all over the place. But go ahead and install them all the way around, and that fan's not going anywhere. And the last step here is just put some blue tape down, and you're going to silicone around the whole thing. Now you don't have to do this, we just kind of do it just as one added layer of protection. The butyl tape is more than enough to seal it, but we just like to go one step further and just put some silicone around there and give ourselves a little peace of mind. Once you get that done, you can peel the tape up and you're set. All right guys, so that's basically how you install a fan. The next thing we're going to do is, since there's no sealing in this yet, we're going to go ahead and water test it. We'll take a hose, spray it down, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it's completely sealed in. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and throw the sealing in there and get that all buttoned up. Then we're going to take this trim piece, throw this over. This just kind of covers the whole hole, and you typically have to cut this to length and stuff, or sorry, just size. Throw the 4 screws in, and then that trims it all out. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and wire it up, and we'll turn it on and see how it's working. Hey guys, so as you can see, we had a spring snowstorm last night. It dumped about 12 inches of snow on this Suburban here, which is actually a good thing for us since we just installed that fan on the roof a couple days ago. So now what we can do is wait for all this to melt basically tomorrow, because it's going to be about 50 degrees tomorrow. So it's going to melt pretty quickly. It's going to get water all over that roof, all around the seal. And what I'll do is I'll take that trim piece off that I installed, and we'll just give it one last look just to make sure it's all sealed in, no water coming through. And it's just one more test we can put this thing through before we get it on the road. So let's check it out in the morning and see what we got. All right guys, so it's the next day. As you can see, a lot of the snow is already melting. More than 2/3 of it is already gone. And if we go ahead and look up at the fan here, I already took the trim piece off. You can see there's no leaking. I checked the entire thing. So we're all dried in still, everything looks good. And I'm ready to put the trim piece back on and move on with the rest of the build. All right guys, so as you can see here, the sealing is in. We got a maple sealing that we just put in this vehicle. Got the lights wired in. And we're basically ready to put this scutcheon in. So this is the trim piece. It's just going to kind of cover over the hole, and we'll go ahead and throw that in. I want you to see too that the screws are going to go between the these bats here. So what I did is I glued in a piece of wood up here, so it gives the screw something to bite to. All right guys, so the next thing we need to do is just wire it up. As you can see, I kind of took this, oh here's the wire right here. This is the wire I took off the fan, and you know there's nothing on the end right now. I just kind of took it through the headliner. This will all be covered up by the side storage here. And this is just going to come right over here, and I'm going to wire it up to a switch. So very simple, just you know, black and red. So, you know, red is power, black is ground, and you just wire up to any switch that you want to, any 12-volt switch, and that'll get the fan going. I typically do put another fuse on this, by the way, too. So if typically the switches that we use already have fuses on them, but if you're just using a regular switch, you might want to put an inline fuse. And this thing only takes a max of 3 amps, so I typically use a 5 amp fuse, only because when you kick on the fan, it spikes in power just for a second, and it might spike up to about 4 or 5 or something like that. So you want to put just a little bit higher, but this will run at 3 consistently on high. So that's it. So wire it up, and you'll have yourself a fan in your car. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.